So in this part, we just how to create a lollipop chart, and this is part number 2. We're going to continue on because our lollipop should have, of course, the head at the very top. So we're going to work on that. So we're going to scroll down here, and so far we have like our basic defaults in here. Of course, what we like to do more is start to go more deeper in creating some additional items. So for this, we're going to access basically the chart object, or more specifically the metadata of this. So we're going to say a constant meta, let's say this get meta. By doing this, we are now getting details of the drawing of this chart, or basically the data. If I refresh now with the console log, you will see here we get the object and we get all the information here. And all this information will eventually be very useful for us because then we can start to apply on a few things. Next, you do see here it recognizes that our type chart or chart type is a lollipop chart. So it understands this. What I want to do now is just to create a circle here, or not even a circle. We're going to use a rounded rectangle where we can control that later on to make it circular or not. So let's start to work on this. So what I'm going to do here is, first of all, let's draw something. So I'm going to say ctx.save to save all variables above. Then I'm going to say ctx.begin path. I'm going to draw a nice, simple, round rect. So I'm going to say here ctx.fill style. And the fill style here, for now, I'm going to say this will be a black color. Later on, we want to make sure that we have options here, or we can grab one of those if ever you want. So then, what I want to do here is say ctx.round rectangle or round rect, and in here we have some coordinates: the x, the y, the width, the height, and the radius, or radii if I'm not mistaken. That's the official term. It is depending on how many pixels it will be rounded. So in here for now, we're just going to put in some basic data. Well, let's say here 100 by 100, and the width will be a 20 pixel width, 20 pixel height, and the radius will be, let's say, 100 right here. Once I did this, I'm going to say ctx dot the ctx.fill to draw the shape. Let's save that, and then alright, ctx is not defined, of course. And the reason why it's not defined is probably you already know we didn't do yet here a object destructuring. So what I need here is the access to the chart. To do this, I need to have basically this dot chart, because I am on this object wherever I am in right now. So what I can do here, say constant, and then this will be the object destructuring where we have the this dot chart as the object of the chart. So then what I want to do here is just the same standard that we are used to with object destructuring. If you don't know chartjs object destructuring, I have a video about that in the description box. So let's say here is ctx, and I think we probably need the scales as well because we're going to have the x and y coordinates. However, I will not break it down like this. I'll just leave it like this here because I'll be using some more advanced features later on for this. So if I save this, refresh, there we are. This starts to work nicely. So what I want to do basically is having this here and give it a proper size of head. And the head size of this should be maybe by default larger than whatever we have here, but it should nicely be on this item. So let's start to give it a proper size that we can assign as a user. So we can say here, for example, the head size, and the head size will be 1.5. So that would indicate that this should be 1.5 compared to whatever the width is of the bar, basically based on the bar multiplied by 1.5. So what I can do here is, how do we get access to this exact value here for the head size? Well, we're going up here, and then in here I'm going to say a constant, or let me just show you what we really need. We have here the meta, and that will just be very useful now. If I refresh here, we should see here in the meta additional data. If I scroll down here, then we go into the underscore data set, and normally this is what they are warning you if you're using the underscore data set. in newer versions, this might break, so be aware of that. However, underscore dataset gives a new object or namespace here. It's called head size 1.5, and this is the exact item I want. So let's start to work on this. So we're going to say here on the meta dot underscore data set dot head size. What I'm going to do now is just very simple. I'm just going to copy this, and we can just say here maybe let's do it here above. Constant head size will be equal to that exactly. All right. Save that, refresh. Nothing happens yet, but if I do a console log, we should have the value of that. There we are, 1.5, it does recognize it. So what I would like to do then eventually is the size of this will be 1.5 of whatever the width is. So we can say here multiply by that and multiply by this. You can see it becomes bigger. Alright, so now we have this. But what I also want to do is make sure we get the x and y coordinates. And for that, we basically have to work with a for each loop, because I want to go in every specific item and I move that here and every one of those nicely in there. So, and that will be done in the next video.